On January 17, 1951, Isaiah L. Kennan walked into Nathan B. Lenvin's office at the Department of Justice Foreign Agent Registration Section and launched an audacious deception. Kennan had worked as the director of the Israeli Embassy's new Office of Information in New York City since 1948. The fledgling Israeli government wanted Kennan to break free of tight U.S. Department of Justice oversight and registration requirements placed on all agents of foreign principals. A public relations expert, Kennan knew after years of public and private efforts to establish a new state in Palestine that reframing Israel's interests as America's own would be impossible with an onerous foreign agents declaration on his every press release, newsletter, film clip, or radio tape circulated in the U.S. His increasingly brash forays to Capitol Hill to lobby for arms and aid were less effective as an openly declared agent for Israel than they would be as a domestic lobbyist. Kennan and his cohorts circumvented Lenvin in the FARA section and the rest of the Department of Justice long enough to unify the current lead organization, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, the largest and most secretive foreign lobby ever financed and assembled on U.S. soil. Along the way, Kennan and precursor Israel Lobby Umbrella Group leadership also dodged investigation and enforcement actions from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the U.S. Department of State, and the FBI. Because of the lobby's early and ongoing evasion of the Foreign Agents Registration Act public disclosure requirements, not much was known about the most intense behind-the-scenes public relations activities. For more than half a century, relevant Department of Justice internal files and relevant registration statements were classified. However, in March of 2008, on the 20th anniversary of Kennan's death, over 1,000 pages of documents related to his foreign agent activities on behalf of Israel were released in response to a Freedom of Information Act filing. In June of 2008, highly sensitive internal Department of Justice documents revealing a secret battle to force AIPAC's precursor organization to register as a foreign agent were also abruptly released under the Freedom of Information Act. Comparing Kennan's public statements, his lobbying newsletter, the Near East Report, and autobiographical accounts against Department of Justice Foreign Agents Registration Act filings, internal meeting minutes, deliberations, whether to indict umbrella organization leaders, and other private correspondence, reveals how Kennan and his key collaborators evaded FARA oversight. Deficient declarations, misleading statements, money laundering, and misrepresentations that landed other lobbyists in jail or deportation proceedings. But purposeful omissions, shell corporations, and offshore operations created a dense smokescreen covering Israel's massive and secret public relations, lobbying, arms smuggling, and influence peddling network, which is only now being revealed in declassified documents and biographical end-of-career accounts. The following account tracks Isaiah Kennan from his birth in Canada through his career at the Jewish Agency for Palestine, the Israel Office of Information, the American Zionist Council, and the Near East Report to the foundation of AIPAC. Examining the circumstances in which AIPAC was created sheds light on a period of time when Israeli prerogatives were quietly institutionalized in Congress, the White House, Department of Defense, State Department, and other key government agencies, very often to the detriment of American citizens. We also reveal how little Americans typically know at any given point in time about the true catalysts determining U.S. Middle East policy, when such knowledge could actually affect deliberations and outcome. AIPAC is understandably circumspect about its early history and founder. For many years, AIPAC's website mentioned very little about that history, and there was no mention at all of Isaiah L. Kennan in the "What is AIPAC?" section, which long read, "For more than half a century, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee has worked to make Israel more secure by ensuring that American support remains strong. From a small pro-Israel public affairs boutique in the 1950s, AIPAC has grown into a 100,000-member national grassroots movement, described by the New York Times as the most important organization affecting America's relationship with Israel. A thorough search of the AIPAC website reveals that Kennan is referenced only a few dozen times, all within the context of the Near East Report newsletter he established, owned, and ran as a separate unit beginning in 1957. This may be because a closer examination of precisely how Kennan and other leaders built AIPAC reveals too many troubling anomalies and legal exposures. Isaiah Kennan is not the single most important historical figure in the movement. However, his willingness to flout the law, engage in highly negative smear campaigns to cover up damaging facts, and then write frankly about much of it in 2 books is informative and sometimes even entertaining. This is not a comprehensive review of AIPAC's lobbying activities or later encounters with U.S. law enforcement. We make extensive use of passages excerpted from declassified government documents, historical narratives from obscure scholarly journals, and Isaiah Kennan's 2 biographical works. The following snapshots probe the creation, morphing, and maneuvering of global corporate entities and their subsidiaries operating in the United States, juxtaposed against one of the very few laws designed to protect the American people from foreign influence on policymakers, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA. The book uses Isaiah Kennan's activities and recently declassified archival documents as anchors to add further weight to the argument that the creation of Israel has been characterized by 3 developments of great political importance to Americans: timely intervention in U.S. foreign affairs by elite members of an opaque but coordinated global lobby, subversion of laws and enforcement mechanisms specifically designed to protect the American people from foreign influences, and the deployment of secrecy, sophisticated propaganda, espionage, money, and covert action to protect Israel lobby power and prerogative from checks and balances. Much of the content is sourced almost entirely from Department of Justice documents declassified in June of 2008, but largely ignored, revealing a shocking caveat that has been accepted at the highest levels of the U.S. government since the mid-1960s. We expose the curious and ongoing absence of warranted law enforcement in the United States in the face of years of serious documented criminal violations by Israel lobby organizations.